I was in college, and I was 19 years old, and I lived 13 miles from where Pat lived, and I didn't know her. I'd never met her before. And I was driving through town on the way back to college, and there was a new root beer stand. And I looked, and wow, there's this tall blonde standing just straight as a broomstick and looking beautiful. I went down and turned around and went back. I decided I needed a root beer. So she came and waited on me, and I asked her for a date, first day. And her answer was, my mama won't let me go with anybody she don't know. And she probably said, the English was a little better than that, I'm sure. But anyway, I said, okay, so I went on. And all that summer, every time I would come back for the weekend, or all that winter, or summer and winter, as I would come back for the weekend, a bunch of boys and me would go over to from our town to theirs and stop at the root beer stand and get a root beer, and I would ask her for a date every time, and she'd give me the same answer. My mom won't let me go with somebody she don't know. Well, if I'd been real smart, I'd have said, can I meet your mama? But I wasn't smart enough to figure that out. Anyway, the end of the summer came and the root beer stand closed for the winter. And when it opened back up, I think it was in March, we went over there. It was raining like a whole lot harder than it is here today. And we all me and the fellows ordered root beer, and she took our order and walked off. And as she walked away, one of the guys said, aren't you going to ask her for a date? Because usually I did every time. I said, no, she's not going to go with me. He said, you're chicken if you don't ask her one more time. So when she came back, I asked her, and she said yes. So then the real ego trip came when she came running back after a few minutes and says, oh, I'm sorry, what is your name? I know Mom won't let me go with you if I don't know your name. But anyway, that's how we got started.
I was the first, is this on? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I was the first car hop Cayenne root beer from Texas hired east of the Mississippi River. And it was in Union City, and he lived in South Florida, school in Jackson. So I had to go to Union City to get there. I worked with a girl named Betty who went to school with him. And every time that red and white car would pull in the parking lot, I would say, oh, here's that boy from South Fulton. Betty, what's his name? And she would tell me. And so I told Mother about this boy from South Fulton and kept asking me for a date. And then we closed, as he said, and he opened back up in the spring. And he missed one part. He came one time and didn't ask me for a date and left. And then the night that he spoke of occurred, and Betty wasn't working. So I went back into the root beer stand and started washing dishes, and I said, oh no. And my boss said, what's wrong? And he said, and I said, I told that boy from South Fulton I'd go with him Thursday night, and I can't remember his name. So I went running back out in a downpour and asked him his name. And when we had our date Thursday night, we went to a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. I remember that in the very first thing, they returned a little girl to the orphanage, and she got in the closet and started crying, and I did too. And I cried the whole movie. And I thought, he will never ask me for another date. We went home, and he walked me to the door and kissed me goodnight and left. And I went in. He was the nicest boy I'd ever dated. And I told my sister, who shared my room, that's the nicest boy I've ever dated. I may just marry him. And a year later we did. And he was a perfect gentleman when we were dating. And I respected that. And I wanted to keep it around.
Okay, when I was a teenager, I knew that I really liked girls. And I knew that I needed a girl in my life. And I wanted one in my life. So I began to pray about it. I really asked God, God, lead me to the girl that you would have me to marry. And I understand Pat was praying that prayer also.
Yes, I didn't know how much time I had. My daddy was a perfect gentleman, but I had uncles who were not. And I heard them, the way they talked to their wives and the way they treated their wives. And I prayed for a man like Daddy. And God is so good, He gave me one like all of Daddy's good points and none of his bad points.
Okay, so I prayed that prayer, and when I finally got a date with Pat after about a year of asking, I thought, this has got to be right. It's got to be real. She must be the one. So we dated a while, and finally I decided that it was time for me to ask her to marry me. And I did, and she said yes. And we went through a little bit of storminess there. Her mother did not want us to get married at that time. She thought if we waited until the date that we had set in June, that Pat would back out and wouldn't marry me. So she was kind of pulling back on us getting married. But we were determined to, and my dad helped us to get married. And I had never eaten any of her cooking. I had eaten, before we married, I ate with her family. I ate her mother's cooking and the hamburgers her daddy cooked. I'd never eaten any of hers. And lo and behold, I married her and I found out she was a blue ribbon cook. She had all kinds of ribbons where she had won prizes for cooking at the fair. And she's a wonderful cook. Why wouldn't you stay with that, you know? So, also, you've seen the pictures and you see her. Come on, you got to ask why I stayed with her.
I do want to tell you about the day we got married, though. He told me that he was not going back to school, that he was joining the Air Force when he came home for Christmas. And if he finished basic about the time I graduated, but they might not let him come home to get married. So we should go and get married, and then I'd be out of school, he'd be out of basic, and I could go with him wherever they sent him. And so when we told Mother that, she was not happy to put it the nicest way. And she said, if you marry him, you can never come home again. And you might as well go with him now. So I did. So we eloped. And his dad gave us the use of his car and money.
$20.
And we drove to Jackson, went to the courthouse to get the marriage license and found out the law had changed and we weren't old enough. So we went back home where Daddy gave me a notarized note saying it was okay for me to get married. And we got back to Jackson and the courthouse was closed, so we still couldn't get married. So I spent the night at his house on the couch, and he stayed at his granddad's. And the next morning we got up and it was bright and shiny, and we washed the car, and then the family and friends that were in Jackson went with us to Royal Street Baptist Church, and we got married. And when we came out, it was raining so hard you couldn't see across the street, and his college friends had written "just married" on the white part of the red and white car. It never did come off. They wrote it with lipstick. So it just...
It was pink until the car died.
Yeah. So that's the story. So much for eloping. But 3 weeks later, my brother and sister came to school and said, Mother wants y'all to come for dinner. So we did. And ate dinner with them almost every Friday. We did everything wrong according to the rules today. We ate dinner with we had a standing date with his mother on Friday, with my mother on Friday and his mother on Sunday. So much for rules.